Dry digital transfers is the process of transferring ink from the printer onto dry paper. You get quite a bit of texture when you do this process, even though you still get a crisp edge. This is especially helpful for rougher paper so that you can see the texture of the paper integrated into the image. To do this, you're going to need butcher paper or a waxed paper that allows the ink to remain suspended and not soak into the surface. You're also going to need a roller, and I prefer the rubber speedball roller. And then you're going to need your final support. And today we're going to be using newsprint paper. You can do this process on any inkjet printer, but depending on the make and model of the printer, you may need to adjust the rollers when the paper comes out, because this could affect the ink going over the surface of the paper. Once your image is printed, you have about 45 seconds or so to transfer it to a piece of paper before the ink dries on the surface of the butcher paper. You're going to want to turn it over and register it by seeing through the butcher paper. Hold it firmly with one hand and allow the top of the paper to drop down. Then take your roller and start pressing it down onto the ink into the surface of the paper. It's helpful to work from the inside out. As the paper underneath becomes saturated with ink, it could bubble up, and this could shift the registration of your paper as you're going over the surface. So rolling from the inside out and making sure you hit every section evenly, make sure that the registration stays intact. You can peel the paper back a little bit to check and see how much ink is transferred, and if it looks good, you're all done. So here's our final result of the image transferred onto newsprint paper. It looks completely different than if you were to print directly onto that paper. When you're done, you can use a wet wipe or a wet towel to wipe off the surface of the butcher paper, the wax paper. You can reuse this paper 2 or 3 times before it starts to degrade and the ink will no longer stay floating on the surface. And that's it. Check back again soon for more videos on alternative digital processes.